What did I do? Why are you saying come on, man? Hello? I get oil all over this thing. Was it like dumping it out? I don't think they like the black one. I don't think it's very appealing to them. Let's try red. That they increase on. See if they're on the red color. Imagine I put this red one on and it's just immediate, like just every cast. I doubt that. I caught a couple of fish earlier. That's probably most of the fish that want to bite today. I caught those. Just gotta let it sink long enough. Gets down there right close to the bottom. And you just pop it every now and then. Let it sink. Pop it again. Using a twitch rod because, it's a soft plastic jerk bait. And I just got it, and I want to see how it throws a hook set. You know, besides just kind of leaning into it with treble hooks, you know, like with the Shimano flash bolt that I was throwing earlier. I ended up catching a catfish on that flash. That was pretty cool. Also stuck a hook in my hand. That wasn't very cool. But it didn't bend the hooks out, surprisingly, which normally happens with catfish. Bend your hooks all the hell. That didn't happen. So, it's a good day. Yeah, it's pretty nice to be able to just come home and fish right in your front yard, even if the pond only has small fish or the fish don't bite. So to just be able to cast. To have, you know, decent stuff like this, which I am probably going to branch off from Guggen. I'm not going to completely stop using them, but I'm probably going to start looking into other brands just because of some recent events. It appears Guggen is kind of dying. It isn't quite what it used to be. And I just kind of want to, you know, maybe look at a brand like Cashion or Cashion. It's a pretty interesting brand. I kind of want to look at a couple of those rods. But this will probably be the last Guggen rod I get for a very long time, if ever again. What happened to your gear? Did you lose it? Was it stolen? Did you lose it in a fire? Did you leave it somewhere? Or are you just not home? I'll try to join. I mean, you're in India, so we're going to have some weird time zones. Probably not. I fished this place pretty hard a couple of hours ago and caught quite a few. So what kind of fish do you fish for in India? Are there like, I don't think there's bass there. Do you just like use nets? Or do you catch carp? Or is there predatory fish there that you like to catch? So you do have snakeheads there. I thought you had snakeheads there. We also have snakeheads here, but people don't really like them here. I mean, not where I live. I live in a landlocked area where the only way for snakeheads to get here they'd have to be brought here by someone. Which they were brought here originally from, I believe, China. Go figure. What sound? The DC reel? That sound? There's catfish, you know, like the catfish here are pretty good eating, but I don't like to eat them out on the ponds just because, I mean, there's geese tracks all over the bank here. And so that means that the geese have been pooping in the water, and that means the catfish have probably been eating that. And I don't want to eat something that eats that, because that's nasty. To be honest, I've been thinking about moving away from DC reels. Because, you know, after 500-600 casts and fishing for 2.5 hours without a bite, you hear that every cast, it gets annoying. But it's still a cool sound when, you know, when you're still catching fish and enjoying it. But there are times where it just gets annoying. Most times it sounds cool though. But another thing I don't like about the DC reels is their spools are not near as deep as like the Corrado M, the Daiwas, or the MGLs. Their spools just aren't as deep because they have all that extra hardware. I'm not a carp angler. I've snagged a few in my past. Some intentional, some not. Because I don't really care much for carp. They kind of destroy your ponds. Although I do want to get a couple grass carp. Just because they can't reproduce. And I might stock a couple grass carp in here. Just so they can kind of take a little bit of the grass out, but not all of it, because I still need some, because it's the only structure. But take a little bit of that grass out, because it's a problem right now. But I don't really care too much for carp. They taste bad. I don't know. I didn't know there's anything going on in Okeechobee. I know that, you know, tournament season is here today. There's supposed to be a tournament starting in Okeechobee, but I didn't know anything was going on. I don't live anywhere near there. You know, India, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Because there are some Japanese anglers that pick one fly or one method and they stick with that for the rest of their life. And that is the only thing they'll ever do. They'll never switch baits, no matter what. They will always use the same bait every day of their life. And they also use like a little 6-foot fly rod. Oh my God, I just had a giant. A little 6-foot fly rod with a 6-foot leader, and they'll like slingshot it into these tiny creeks and catch trout up in the mountains. Yeah, I didn't know about that. I did know about the Guggen squad situation with Lojo leaving, which, I mean, we could kind of see that coming, but, you know, it's tragic. And, you know, I'm starting to think about leaving Guggen and, you know, not completely shunning them, because I have a lot of Guggen stuff and it's expensive. And I'm not going to completely rebuild my tackle box overnight. But, you know, using, you know, Cashion rods maybe. That's a company I've been looking at. You know, maybe a couple more Dobbins rods, because I do have a Dobbins Fury, because the Muscle XL does not cut it for me. It's not enough. But, you know, just the Guggen brand has really seemed to be dying. Like, it just isn't what it is anymore. Or isn't what it was. If you ever want a big swim bait or an Alabama rig rod that can also throw glide baits, the Dobbins Fury 806 is what I recommend. Or the 795 if you want a little bit lighter one, if you don't want the heavy. I really just wanted an 8-foot rod because I already have, you know, a 7'9", and I wanted an 8-footer, so I got the 806. And I throw I threw my Harvester A-rig all winter. And this year I'm probably gonna throw my big glides and swim baits. Yeah, it's kind of sad. You should make them carry their own stuff. I'm trying, man. I had what felt like a pretty good one. It was either another catfish or, you know, a 2 or 3 pound bass. Take the fluke. But I didn't get a good enough hook set and I didn't stick him. I think I was moving it kind of slow when he bit. Fished Mavericks? I don't know what that is, so I'm assuming no. I live in the middle of nowhere, northwestern Oklahoma. There's not a lot of places I've fished. I fished the Big Thompson in Colorado. I fished in Red River, New Mexico. And I fished a golf course pond in Arkansas. But other than that, it's just little ponds around here. Which, by the way, yes, the golf course pond was juice. I caught like 2 6-pounders in a day. Yeah, especially in the winter or when the water's really hot, spoons work really well, especially flutter spoons. In like deeper water, you know, anywhere from 11 to 20 feet, spoons really excel. But I don't have that much deep water. I only got like 2 spoons. I don't use them that much. But in the winter, yeah, definitely spoons are a great option. Like you get out on those big lakes, you know, you got 6, 7, 8-inch spoons. You look at your live scope and you'll see, you know, double-digit bass just chilling on a log. They won't hit anything but that spoon. The 806 is what I use. But there's also the 795, which is a medium heavy. But the 806 is a heavy. Or if you want, you know, the step up, you can get the Champion. The Champion XP 806. Or if you want, you know, the big boy rod that can throw like 9-ounce big swim baits. I think that's what the Champion XP is, and it's like a 9-footer. That one could almost be used in like surf casting. Ooh, that felt like a fish. I don't I'm not a big fan of 6th Sense just because of some of the things that Milliken tried to pull. But also the broomstick, something about it just turns me off. Like something about it just makes me not want to use it. Like, cause with the broomstick, it's a big ol' like 7'9", 8 foot, extra heavy, fast action. And that's too much for me personally. I like to have a nice parabolic bend in my big swim bait rods, and the broomstick, from looking at it in stores, just didn't have that parabolic bend that I like. You know, it just, like, for me, it didn't feel like it loaded right. Oh, not the broomstick, just a broomstick. Yeah, I got a broomstick. You know, an 8 foot heavy fast. Actually, no, I think it's a moderate fast. I don't know, it might be a heavy fast. But it's also got a glass blank, I believe. It's either that or carbon blank. But the Maverick series, I understand what you're talking about, because I remember looking at their Maverick reels, wondering if they were a big swim bait reel, and realized they weren't, so I just got a Shimano 300K. Which, honestly, I wouldn't use any other reel for that kind of stuff, because I got a Lexa 300 a while ago, and my Corrado 200M almost drained the spool on a 300 Lexa. And I thought Lexas were known for having really deep spools, and it was kind of depressing, not gonna lie. A mag draft? Yeah, I definitely throw it on that Fury. Later, India. Have a good one. It also depends on what size of mag draft. Because, I mean, if it's like the 8-inch or the 10-inch mag draft, then I definitely throw it on an 806, you know, an 8-foot heavy. But if it's like one of the smaller ones, like the 6-inch, I would throw it on like a 7'9", 7'10" heavy, moderate, fast. You know, or just, you know, like a muscle rod, you know, 7'6" heavy. I mean, I've even seen dudes throw their 6-inch mag drafts or smaller ones on just medium heavy gear. But I like to throw it on some heavier gear. I like to be a little overkill. What part of the country? I'm from Oklahoma, northwestern, out in the Great Plains, where there's absolutely nothing for miles in every direction. It's quite boring here, but I find ways to entertain myself. Really wish that fish would have come back for it. It felt nice. Oh. No, I'm in the grass. Maybe I need to go get the flash bolt again. Maybe the flash bolt was the way to go. I don't know where Lake Levon is. I know Lake Amistad. I know Falcon Lake. I know a couple lakes in upstate New York. Actually, no, I don't. I forgot their names. I know, you know, Grand Lake, Keystone Lake, Fort Supply Lake, the old mud hole. Don't sleep on the mud hole, though. You can limit out and crappie in about an hour there. Maybe less, depends on how they're biting. Or white bass. You can limit out like crazy there. Yeah, I don't know where those are. One fish I do really want to catch for no particular reason, smallmouth. They look so fun to catch. They look like they fight harder pound for pound than any freshwater fish on the planet, other than maybe, you know, hybrid striped bass, because those things fought pretty hard whenever I caught those down in Texoma. But one place I really want to striper fish is the Tennessee River, because I've seen people pull out like 20, 30-pound striper just on a regular basis. Like they'll use 2-pound skipjack as bait, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, I'd love to catch a 5-pound smallie. My smallmouth fishing days would be complete with just a 5-pound smallie. Because I mean, I know for smallmouth that's absolutely giant. That's like catching a 9-pound bass. You know, even like a 3.5-pound, 4-pound smallie is huge. And I know the world record smallmouth is like 11 pounds, something like that. God, could you imagine an 11-pound smallmouth? Like, just think about how hard those little 6.5-inch creek smallies fight. Now imagine it 11 pounds. But I mean, there's a couple smallmouth lakes kind of close to me. Like Texoma is one of the top 3 smallmouth lakes in the nation. And I've been on Texoma. I wasn't smallmouth fishing, I was striper fishing. Which, if I had to pick any fish to catch for the rest of my life, it would be the striper. There is no fish like a striper. They are some of the meanest, hardest fighting, most aggressive, and exciting fish to catch in your entire life. You have not lived till you've been on a striper blitz. As a freshwater angler, I know there's saltwater things that would blow that out of the water, but like as a freshwater angler, you have not lived till you've been on a striper blitz, throwing 6-inch spooks, 8-inch spooks, and then just knocking them out of the water, trying to eat them. I've heard of the St. Croix River, and I've heard of St. Croix rods, and I have some family that uses St. Croix. And I mean, he will not leave me alone about using St. Croix. Like, I get a Dobbins. Dobbins is terrible compared to St. Croix. I get a Cashion. Cashion isn't anything compared to St. Croix. Like, they live and die by St. Croix. You know, I do some research, and their rods just don't look appealing. You know, like, something about them, I just don't like them. I don't like the way they look. You know, I know that supposedly they got the best, you know, the best customer service of any other rod company, but taking something like this rod and taking a St. Croix rod that's meant for the same thing, this thing feels lighter. You know, like, and I can feel more with it running a jerkbait. Like, I can feel the second they hit a jerkbait through slackline with this. And this is a Guggenrod. This thing is supposed to be garbage, terrible. You know, but from my experience, Guggenrods are pretty all right. Maybe just a little bit overpriced. But Guggen is the reason I started fishing, really. So you gotta support the brand that gets you started. But now, thinking about leaving them alone, not getting any more Guggen baits, looking at maybe Crush City, Havoc, you know, maybe going back to the roots with the Yum Dinger, because they're cheaper anyways. You know, ugly stick is what I started with. There's nothing wrong with using an ugly stick, to a point. I don't like using ugly sticks for things like this. I don't like using ugly sticks for jigs. I don't really like using ugly sticks for anything that involves bass fishing. But I do like using ugly sticks for catfish because they don't break. That is not something you can do. In all my years in fishing with ugly stick, I have never broken the blank. And I even still have my first bait casting rod, which was an ugly stick. It was an ugly stick elite. I still have it. It has not broken. The guides on it are pretty terrible, but I have not broken the blank. But in terms of bass fishing, I just don't like using them. They're not sensitive enough for me. They don't have enough backbone to really lay the hammer, on like heavy jigs. And for me, like throwing anything that weighs more than 3/4 of an ounce on my ugly stick, it loads too much and I lose, energy or power to cast. And it just doesn't cast as far as my other rods. And it's heavy. I don't like how heavy it is. It feels heavy and off balance. But it's also, the combo was $60. So the reel was absolutely horrendously bad. So you got to think that's probably a $40 rod, you know. But would I use an ugly stick for something like this? Definitely not. I would not know a bass ate this fluke until I got it up to the bank. They have no sensitivity at all. To me, that's my personal preference. You can use what you like. I'm not going to tell you you're an idiot for using ugly stick. You've probably been fishing long before me. Long before my time. Something I noticed when I went to the Shields in Tulsa not too long ago is they did not have a single Guggenrod up in that store, not a single one. It was either Shields brand, which they do have some impeccable rods there. Shields does. They had like a 430 rod, and it was the lightest thing I had ever touched in my entire life. I didn't even realize, it felt like with a reel on it, it felt like I was just holding the reel. I've caught one walleye in my entire life, and it was about 6 inches. But the only lake around where I live that has walleye is overfished when the walleye start running. And by the time I get there, it's too late. The walleye are gone. They stop biting. And they're just extremely overpressured. But like catfish, there's catfish in this pond. I caught one earlier on a jerkbait, which that was a great time getting the hooks out of my hands after dealing with that. Because it had one hook in its face and one hook in its back. And when I got the one hook out of its back, it decided to start rolling and it threw a treble right in the inside of my knuckle. Yeah, I know how to drive a manual too. As my parents always told me, if you don't want your car to get stolen, have everything written in cursive and have it be a manual, because nobody knows how to drive a manual anymore. My dream car is a manual car. And I wouldn't have it any other way. You feel more connected with the vehicle in manual. Now, when you're checking cattle, I prefer an automatic just because sometimes you have to chase them and have to go from, you know, first, second, or third to reverse back into first or second. You know, it can be a hassle and annoying. But yeah, I have one spinning rod, and I prefer baitcasters over spinning rods any day of the week. You know, I don't. Ooh, that felt like a fish. Like pop back. Yeah, but like, it's just sometimes with an automatic, it's nice when you're checking cattle. But for just driving or pulling a load, manual, any day of the week. It's just better. You know, 2006, 2009 Ram 3500 third gen with, you know, a little bit of power upgrades, you know, an air intake, a little bit, just to give it a little bit more goose. Airbag suspension, so you can lower the back end if you need to for a trailer, because sometimes the ground changes when it gets wet. You know, that's what we use to pull. And I wouldn't choose any automatic over that, because an automatic usually has a 10-speed, and like the Dirty Maxes and the Power Jokes, they all have 10 speeds, and those things shift too much, and then eventually you burn your clutch out, and then you're out of clutch. You're out $5,000 plus labor, you know. And that's why I don't like those automatics and those new diesels. It's because they all have 10 speeds, except for like the Ram. They use a 8-speed, and it doesn't shift near as much. Well, if you can cast a baitcaster, then you can cast a conventional, and if you can cast a conventional, you can cast anything. You know, but I don't like using conventionals for bass fishing just because that's too much to do, because you have to guide the light on by yourself. And I space out when I fish. It's just going through the motions till you feel that tick. I might go get a crankbait. But I mean, and really, you can't even really count this as learning to use an actual baitcaster, because this is a DC reel, and I can just put it on setting 4, and I don't even have to thumb it. Maybe. I mean, now I don't even have to thumb it. I can't cast as far, but I don't have to thumb it. But the main reason why I got DC reels is because I thought the sound was cool. Like, I can cast this thing on setting 1, or I can cast it on setting 4. Like, it's not a requirement for me. I mean, I can cast a baitcaster without a tension knob. I've done it before. I can cast a baitcaster without magnetic brakes. Now, without either of those, that's a different story, especially when you're throwing a heavier bait, just because that spool starts spinning pretty fast. No, I am definitely not out in the Everglades. I am a long ways away from the Everglades. I am out on my front yard pond. I would not be caught dead in the Everglades at night. Probably because I would be dead. The Everglades at night is like, imagine the Amazon rainforest in the day and then just make it dark. That's the Everglades at night. Everything in the Everglades wants to kill you, whether it's a 20-foot python or it's a 12-foot swamp puppy or an American crocodile. You know, everything there wants to kill you. The spiders want to kill you. The lizards want to kill you. The plants want to poke you. The water has more diseases in it than you can count. Everything there just wants to kill you. And I have no desire to go anywhere near that place without a boat and without people who have been in that place all their life. So I'll probably get myself killed there by myself. I am nowhere near the ocean, dude. I'm not even close to the Mississippi where they found bull sharks. I am in northwestern Oklahoma. There is nothing here but catfish, carp, gar, and bass. And then, of course, your bait fish species. That is all that is here, and your occasional crappie and walleye pond. Yeah, I know, pretty boring, right? Well, that's all I have. I like to catch a shark with people who know what they're doing so I don't get myself eaten. But shoot things. On occasion, I like to allegedly make recreational explosives. Sometimes just enjoy the sunsets, maybe. I don't know. There's not much to do here. It's pretty boring. Fishing's about the only thing I do for fun here. Oh, that's a fish. Yeah, that water's still cold. He's curling up. There we go. Would I ever try snorkeling in the Everglades? Hell to the no. I would not be caught dead in that water. Probably because I would die. Like I said earlier. Everything there wants to kill you. Even the people sometimes, depending on who you find. You Floridians, assuming you're Floridian, are on a different level of psychotic. Swimming in that water for fun. I would jet ski on a normal lake that is nowhere near gator water. Because, you know, as a wise, deep southern man once said, you want to know how there's gators in that water? Reach down and touch it. Notice how that water's wet? That means there's gators in it. I have no desire to go near any of those things. But I would do jet skiing. I've done it before. It's pretty fun. But I have to drive, 30 minutes to our little mud hole lake that has, sand barges all over it. It's pretty scary to take a jet ski out on that lake because it's very shallow and there's sand barges all over it. But jet skiing's fun. I've done that before. So is tubing behind a boat, I'll get on a rubber tube and get dragged 40 miles an hour across the lake, on a rubber tube, but I won't go swimming with an alligator. Sorry, it's just not gonna happen. You can call me what you want. I do have a desire to live, for the most part. Yes, they will. They will most definitely attack underwater. They will attack anywhere. They will attack you on land. They will attack you from water. They will get up in your boat with you. I've seen that happen before. They do not care. If they want to eat you, they will eat you. I'm not afraid to die in most cases, but I don't want to be animal feces, dude. I mean, I make allegedly explosive devices for fun. You know? Allegedly, I like driving really fast. You know? This tornado season, I'm probably gonna go chase a couple tornadoes because I want to see one. The only time I've seen one is when I'm about to die, and I want to see one when I'm not about to die. But there's still dangers to chasing. You know, I want to get a sport bike and possibly, allegedly, go fast on it. And you have a higher chance of dying on that than you do most other things. Where do I drive? I'm not telling you. Now you're going to tell on me. If you're wondering what kind of road, typically dirt roads, because there's no cops there. And I don't want a ticket for reckless driving, reckless endangerment. That's cool. Uh-huh. That's what the last guy said. That's cool. What kind of angler is he? Is he a walleye angler? Is he a crappie angler? Is he a white bass angler? Is he a largemouth angler? Smallmouth angler? Spotted bass angler? Striped bass angler? Catfish angler? Oh, man, that's a bat. That's pretty cool. Commercial. So, like, does he go out on the ocean on a boat and then catch a bunch of food? Is that what he does? Okay, I'm not trying to take anything away from your father, but a professional angler is someone who, like, fishes tournaments and competes. That is what is considered a professional angler. Like it's kind of like professional football, professional baseball. You compete for money. Not that there's anything wrong with being a commercial angler. Somebody's got to catch the fish, the food, you know, and that's great. That's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind doing that. But that is not what makes a professional angler. Okay, so he does compete, so he is a professional angler. See, I was under the assumption based off of what you told me that he's like one of the people who goes out on a crab boat, you know, like a crab angler. So what fish does he catch when he competes? Have I ever driven through a tornado? No, but I've come pretty close to it. And let me tell you, it is quite scary. I almost got blown down the side of a hill. Like I had, 2 wheels off the road and I was about to roll down the side of the hill. That was pretty scary. But the adrenaline rush felt pretty good, and now I want to do it again. Tornadoes are... Okay, so he's a match angler. That's called a match angler. So, like, are you from a different country? Like any European country? Yeah, but nobody really believes me, so what's the point in telling it? I know what happened. That's all that matters to me. Okay, a match tournament in California. I've never heard of that, but that's pretty cool. I'm glad you're living your dream, if that's your dream. Usually a match tournament where you just catch everything and it counts as a European thing, because they have so many different weird species there that all eat like the same thing. I'm just a little old bass angler. God. Just got absolutely yoinked right at the bank. Come back for it. It's just a dying little shad. Well, what is your dream? Everybody has one, surely. Some kind. At least something that they want. No, I don't like to eat bass. They don't taste very good. And there's not a whole bunch of bass in here. So the more I take out, the less that there is, and I have to restock it. Usually I just go to a creek and catch some more and then just stock them in here, take them home. But I don't really like to eat bass because they don't even taste that good anyways. So what's the point in eating them? It's just a waste of game fish. A lifeguard. Well, that's not really that hard to do. You just go to a pool, you take a test, and then there you go. Or do you want to be like a professional lifeguard at like the ocean? That's pretty cool. Somebody's got to do it. They save lives every year. And there's always the dangerous sharks. It's a dangerous job. There's the danger of riptide, Can't get out of it. You die. There's no Placo around here, dude. For me to get Placo, I'd have to order them, and they'd probably die on the way here. I'd love to have Placo in here. Aren't they those, like, armored catfish? That are, like, really black? And they're bottom feeders? I would go grab a crankbait right now, but it's getting dark out, and I don't want another treble hook in my finger. Okay, hold on. Let me just drive, 19 hours to the Everglades, come catch some Placo, and maybe not die, and then drive all the way back, and hopefully they survive. Yeah, I mean, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't put enough effort in it to get big enough, If I put some effort in it, I could probably get, few thousand subscribers, start making a few cents a view and like. But I don't have time for that. And I kind of do it for funsies, you know? I got a little over 1,000 subscribers. That's plenty enough to flex on people who like to talk shit, you know? But I'm sure it's getting so dark you can't even really see anything anymore. Yeah, but if I go to the Everglades, I'm probably going to go to either gator hunt or I'm going to go to bass fish, because there's no way I'm keeping a fish alive for a 20+ hour drive. That's just not happening unless I like freeze it and put it in a cryo sleep and then defrost it and it's still miraculously alive. Because I don't have the facilities to keep it alive that long and drive. You also have to consider the fact that it's hot out. And fish don't like heat. Except for gar, they're weird. They like that nasty hot water. That's only gonna do so much for you, dude. That's a lot of stress for a fish to be in a little container, to go from a big, wide open, environment to go to a little container with absolutely no food in it, unless I feed it, which I don't even know what they eat. I'm sure they eat like plankton and stuff and algae. That idea, I really hope you're not serious about that idea, because that idea is absolutely outrageous. That's like me trying to go to a lake, go catch shad, and then drive 2 hours to another lake and expect them to still be alive. That's gonna be so much stress on the fish. They're gonna go from that big, wide open environment, and then they're gonna be trapped in a cooler for probably a day, because you have to think, you're probably gonna stay the night. You're not just gonna go down there, catch some Placo, and leave. So you're gonna have those fish in that thing for 20+ hours. They're gonna be trapped in there, and then they're gonna be on a bumpy road. They're gonna be thrown back and forth in that cooler, and they're gonna die. So you're gonna get stressed out. That is such a far-fetched idea. Maybe if I lived like 3 hours away. But if I go to the Everglades, I'm going to either kill a gator or I'm going to catch a 12-pound largemouth. I've killed gar in coolers like that, dude. And gar have been around since the dinosaur age, too. Granted, I kind of threw the gar in there because I didn't really care much for them. But I didn't want them to start rotting in it, so I kept them alive inside of it. But still, I mean... And then you have to hope that they can survive being put into an entirely different environment. Because the Florida Everglades are totally different than an Oklahoma farm pond. I wouldn't mind python hunting in the Everglades with a professional, because that's a good way to die, is go try to catch a python and then, yeah, get bit by a cottonmouth, which we have cottonmouths here towards the southwestern side of the state. Really just the southern part of the state. We have cottonmouths and modern moccasins and like 20 different species of rattlesnake. But I mean, those are just snakes. I mean, think about all the bugs, spiders, and the alligators, which I don't care too much for snakes. They are the devil, quite literally. Well, you're a professional. So, like, coral snakes, I mean, red to yellow will kill a fellow. They're pretty easy to identify. I'm not too scared of coral snakes because I feel like they'd be pretty easy to see with the bright colors. And, you know, red, yellow, kill a fellow. It's pretty easy to remember. Doesn't mean I like them. Hate not being able to see. Later, Trippy. Crazy Squad. Wow. It's an interesting name. I've gotten a few today. Yeah, I've gotten bitten by a few deer flies. They feel pretty bad. Oh my god, I had a giant. That about took the rod out of my hand. I gotta set the hook faster. They can feel that hook, I think. I need to be like, the second I feel them take it, I gotta set the hook. But yeah, I've been bitten by a few deer flies. We have quite a few here, actually. Because we have deer, and deer flies are always on the deer. I raised a couple deer and raccoons. Yeah, I'm in a pretty bad spot. It kind of sucks right here. I'll move back to the other end. I caught more fish over there anyways. Why leave fish to find fish? Unless if those fish are small. Wish I could turn my light on. That'd be pretty cool. Earlier today, it was like dead calm, 72. It's gorgeous out. And then it just started blowing 20 out of nowhere. And it was miserable because it was a north wind. So I was cold. I was in a t-shirt and shorts, but I didn't want to stop fishing. So I didn't stop fishing. And eventually I said enough of this. And the second I go in, the wind stops. Man, it is dead calm out tonight. I am home, actually. I am at my house. Or in front of it, anyways. So, I mean, I'm a 2-minute walk away. Like, that light you see is my yard light. But since it's nighttime and there are deer on that road, and you know, bumpers are pretty expensive, and so are radiator fans and radiators themselves. Probably wouldn't, but if it was daytime, I would probably bust my ponds. Can you understand me now? He probably left. Down to one person.